Hello there. I've managed to dig another colander out of my kitchen cupboard. This is the one I use the most in the kitchen because rather than having holes, it's got slots. So I thought this might be an interesting one to try today to use to see what sort of a pattern I can make. So I'm going to just pop that into the middle of my canvas. I have already put down, partially covered my canvas with navy blue paint, and I'm just going to pour my paints into that to see what sort of a pattern I can make. Just make sure that's oh well, it's as centered as I can make it anyway. Now my colours I'm using today are burgundy, although I've lightened it down a little, scarlet, rose, candy floss, pale pink and gold. And I'm just going to tip them on there. I'm just hoping that I've got enough paint. I'm going to tip them on there just from the centre and allow them to spread out through those grooves until I've used all the paint in the pots. Well, a couple of things that have been a little bit of an issue for me. First of all, the slots, the paint is very hard to go through, and because of that, the second thing is, of course, my paints were a little bit too thick. To put paint through slots like this, I think it really needs to be very, very thin. So I'm going to lift it off now. I'm going to basically work it sideways rather than lifting it straight up, and just roll it round to get rid of that paint. Oh wow, that's made a different pattern. Goodness, that's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. But now, of course, all the fun is going to be in how well I can tilt it, because those colours are certainly pretty, and doing it on the navy blue instead of the black was probably a good idea for me as well, because I feel that those colours just blend so well together. So I'm going to get my gloves on now and do some tilting. Sure if I'm going to actually have enough paint. I think I will be overstretching it if I continue to try and tilt it with the amount of paint that I've got on here. I am used to having more to tilt with. So what I might do is just put extra paint around the edges of this so that it will tilt better. Well, I didn't have any more navy blue mixed up, but I did have some black, and I just had to thin it down a little with water because it was a little bit gluggy, so there's a few bubbles in it, but it will do as additional paint to help this paint to go over the edge of which some of it has already started going over. So I will continue with my tilting. That certainly is bright. I'm not quite sure what to make of this. I rather like the gold through the centre part of it. Very red and pink in places, which is also what I wanted. But it's another canvas that I have covered, and I have tried another colander pour. I will probably put the colander away for a while now, because although I've been enjoying reusing it again, I'm finding that I am getting through more paint than I really want to at the moment, because I don't have access to fresh supplies until we come out of lockdown. So I think I'll leave it at that. It is, it's like I don't know, a strawberry explosion. It's like a strawberries dive down into something like a drink. I'm not going to start using my imagination like that again. I will just leave it as it is, and give it a bit of a torch to get rid of some more of those bubbles. The other problem that I did have, of course, was that I wasn't sure what colours I was going to use today. The majority of them I already have pre-mixed, but I still had to add water. And unfortunately, I don't know whether I overstirred or whether it was just because it was too close to using them after I had pre-mixed them, and I got a lot of bubbles, a lot of little bubbles in there. So, which are fine for some things, but you know, it can be a bit annoying as well. So there we go, there's my strawberry explosion. Once again, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.